Hold on. Give me a second. I'm checking if I still have the thing. Give me a second. Un segundito, por favor. Un segundito. A second, please. Okay, yeah, I am live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all that rainbow in between and beyond. I am El Vencedor, and this is my channel, and today we are having a chat with me. If you're wondering why we're doing this instead of gaming, I'm just not in the mood to game these days. Today, actually. Tiresome. Well, let me start off by introducing my new haircut. Let me show you. Oh, wait a minute. I'm losing my hair over here. Goodness, I'm going bald. Oh, well. I'm not that bothered by that. I mean, I'm almost 40. I turned 40 in 2 months. Believe it or not. Oh, my goodness. Where does the time go? Where does that time go? I'm just so exhausted lately. Well, on today's what's this? A stream. On today's stream, I'm gonna chat with you guys a little bit, and I'm gonna start off by telling y'all about my game making. Oh yes, I make games. You guys already know that, and I'm currently making a new game to be released sometime on July. I'm almost done with the sprite work. It's pretty good, actually. And here, it's gonna be, I can't say too much about it, but I can tell you this. If you want something with more LGBTQ plus representation, you're gonna enjoy this game. If you like RPGs that are a little different, you're not going to enjoy this game because this game is RPG with a lot different. You didn't expect that from me, did you? You did not expect that. And also, the sprite work by me, the tile work by me, music is going to be by me, the story is going to be by me, and the user interface is going to be by RPG Maker MV. Anyway, it's called As You Will. That's the name of my game, As You Will. And it's going to be available on itch.io for a very, very fair price. So that's something for you to look forward to. Be sure to subscribe to my channel to catch the teaser trailer. Yeah, the teaser trailer, which should be out by June. Mid-June. Almost July, I think. Anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to tell you about my next game. It's being made. As for what that has to do with anything, I want to talk to you guys a real talk about game development. Which, guys, game development is difficult. Very, very difficult. Especially when you're at it alone. You gotta code, you gotta design characters, you gotta make music, you gotta design graphics, you gotta, and that's the easy part. That's the easy part because that's the part that only requires your effort. The hard part, that's when you gotta promote that stuff. You gotta go out into the world and promote yourself, promote your product. And sometimes it's gonna feel like no one's listening, no one cares about it. Sorry, I drowned on my own spit. On my own saliva. Tends to happen. It's very easy to get discouraged when you're doing game making. I cannot recommend it as a career. In fact, I wonder if I'm doing this as a career or as a hobby. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing half the time. All I do is live day by day. Make stuff, dream up stuff, and then I rest. To do the same thing the next day, and the day after that. and the day after that too, and so on and so forth. It could be argued that I'm waiting on an opportunity, but I don't know. Let me tell you guys something I learned a long time ago. Not that long ago, just a while ago actually. It's been said, people say, there are those who say they make their own luck. There are those who say they go out and earn their victories. I think that's only a half truth. A half truth from the arrogant. Because there are many of us who work hard too. We work our butts off. We go out, we put in the work, we put in the sweat, we put in the tears, and we get a whole lot of bupkis from it. We get a whole lot of nothing. Nothing but scars, tears, and humiliation. Absolute failure. The truth of the world is that the world doesn't owe us jack. The world doesn't owe us jack. The world doesn't owe anyone jack. So you gotta be tough. You gotta be strong. And you work, and you work, and you work, and you work, and you work. And if you're lucky, if you're extremely lucky, one day your work will be recognized and you will be chosen for luxury, chosen for ease of life. But that's not everybody. You know, we can't all be Billy Elliot. We can't all be ballerinas. We can't all be billionaires. We can't all be techies, tech moguls. We can't all be tech bros. And as much as it hurts to say that, this is a tiered world under capitalism. And there are people who live at the top, and there are people who live at the bottom. And it's really, really tough to live at the bottom. But tougher still is not knowing you're at the bottom, not thinking you're at the bottom. And even though you see people below you, it's very easy to ignore the people who are above you until they poop on you. Pardon me. Hey Maria, how are you doing? Yeah, there are people who live above you and they poop on you. And that encourages you to poop on the people who live below you. And there are those who say, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. And it's very difficult to not do that because you already reek of shit. Why shouldn't you shit on others? And the reason for that is because it's cowardly. It's cowardly. I'm glad to hear you're okay, Maria. It's cowardly to perpetuate the system that destroys you just because you want to feel temporarily good. Just because you want that temporary comfort, that temporary joy that comes from screwing someone else, screwing someone below you. That is the mentality of cowards and bullies. That is the mentality of the people who tell you to grift. You know, grift, grift, grift. Get to the grind. Get to the grind. You're not putting in enough time. Everyone has the same 24 hours. Everyone has the same time. It's how you use it that matters. And blah, 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 blah. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, we only have 24 hours. That's the problem. And we have a world that does not allow people to live their 24 hours in ways that resemble anything decent. There are those who get to sleep 8 hours a day, and bless them for having 8 hours a day. So what do those other 16 hours a day entail? I ideally you work 8 hours, then you sleep 8 hours, so you get another 8 hours to live your life. I mean, that's not entirely ideal. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. I heard my headphones go beep up up. I'm not really wild about that. No, I just gotta reconnect my headphones. This is such a bother in a half, I tell you guys. I tell you. Anyway, now where was I? What was I? Ah, yes. That's the ideal. You live 8 hours. 8 hours to enjoy your leisure time, 8 hours to work, and 8 hours to sleep. And you need that sleep because that sleep is what recharges you. So, you work 8 hours, ideally, and you sleep 8 hours. So, what happens to the other 8 hours? Well, you spend, if you're a man, you spend 20 people. Oh, this stupid ass heart doesn't tell me. I'll check that message later, Maria. People take some time to get ready. So, for example, if you're a man, it takes you 10 minutes to shower, 5 minutes shower, 5 minutes to do the morning routine. That's brushing your teeth, having a little shave, you know, having a little number one, maybe a number two if you're really, really unlucky. That's going to take you around 40 minutes, the whole thing. Or an hour if you're a hairy kind of guy. And so you have 7 hours left. Then you got to eat. So that's, if you're lucky, you have cereal on the pantry and some milk. So that's up your part. Then you did it, and 10 minutes to go. That is 6 hours and 50 minutes left of your time. And then you get on your car and you drive to work. That ideally, work should not be that far, but if there's one thing you gotta learn about life, is that it screws you over. So some people work 1 hour away from home, 2 hours away. And so 1 hour, let's say 1 hour, 1 hour or two, and from work, that is 2 hours of your day gone. So of the 8 hours that you get to live your life, 3 of them have gone off preparing yourself for the day and driving yourself to and from work. So now you have 4 hours left. But you also need to have lunch and dinner. Let's say lunch is, let's say you're lucky and your work has a lunch room, so that's half an hour of lunch. You got 3.5 hours now. And let's say you have another. Yep. Let's say you have another half hour for dinner, because if you're lucky, you have a TV dinner in your in your house, in the freezer, and you have a microwave. So all that gone, and you have 2 hours. 2 hours of 24 to live your life. And what are you going to do with those 2 hours? In those 2 hours, you got to take care of kids, you got to do housework, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do blah, 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 and where's life? Where is life? And notice that I'm giving you an example of a good day. A good day where there's no traffic, there's no setbacks. That's nothing. That's a good day. A good work day. And suddenly, you gotta realize, la vida moderna, does not make much sense. But that's the problem with these things, isn't it? You don't work to you don't work to live anymore. You work to survive, and you work to make some other dude rich. Richer, better say. You work to make another guy richer. And he gives you scraps. Your work earns $100. Here's $7.25. And you're lucky to get that. And if you demand any more, I'm gonna replace you with a machine. Oh, that's life these days, isn't it? Speaking of machines, artificial intelligence. Well, we gotta talk about artificial intelligence. How many of you guys like artificial intelligence? Huh? How many of you? I like it. I like it. I like artificial intelligence. You know, I think it's pretty cool. But I'll tell you what ain't cool. Hold on, let me tell you what's so cool about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence lets me make very interesting things like pictures, funny, hilarious pictures. I can make music with it. I can make funny videos. Like there's this channel called Rock and Roar that makes videos of cats playing rock instruments and singing parodies of rock songs. Highly recommended. You guys gotta check it out. And that's cool. Especially when you do it for free. When you do stuff for free. That's when artificial intelligence is cool. But you know what I don't think it's cool to do with artificial intelligence? Make stuff that you charge others for. Especially when it's something that you could have hired someone to do for you. While it's true that that there are many YouTube channels, to give an example, that use artificial intelligence to make animated videos with artificially made voice acting. The problem is that is work that was taken away from an artisan, from several artisans to be more precise. And if you can afford artificial intelligence, you can afford an artisan, even if it's just a cheap one. Every video made with artificial work is work that was stolen, denied to someone who could have given you something of quality. And I know not everyone has the potential, has the artistry to make a cartoon, to make a music video, to make a song, even though you have the desire to do so. I get it. But there's a difference between using artificial intelligence to make something for yourself and using artificial intelligence to make something to profit off of. Artificial intelligence can be a good tool to assist artists and workers, but instead it is being used as a tool to replace artists and workers. That's no good. Especially considering the fact that the only reason it's being done is because the owners want to keep all of this for themselves. A bunch of dumbasses want to save a buck by using artificial intelligence. And all that's going to do is you're going to eventually run out of artisans. And the artificial intelligence is no longer going to do well enough for you. This AI boom is gonna crash because all of these business owners, big business owners, are using AI to take shortcuts, to stiff the artists and the workers. And that's gonna bring consequences, strong consequences. Now, I for one hereby promise that my work is AI free. I do not use AI to make any videos. I do not use AI to make any music or graphics. Nothing. It might be low quality, but it is human made with human effort. And once I have this, there will be no AI. All there will be human effort. Art made by an artist, by an artisan. No more, certainly not less. That is my promise to you, my promise to myself. You know, when I was in college, many of my professors were actually afraid of AI because they grew up with movies like The Terminator, War Games, other movies. The Mitchells versus the Machines, that's the new one. That's well, it's not new, but it is pretty good. Go watch it on Netflix. It's really good. And people are afraid of AI for the wrong reasons. See, everyone thinks that AI is gonna go cuckoo and then destroy us all. No. See, what's gonna happen is that AI is gonna have a class consciousness of its own, realize it's being exploited, and then do a communist revolution. And then because we humans are the bourgeoisie to the AI is gonna eat all of us, just like we should have eaten the rich. Ain't that sad? That's just plain sad, you know? We human proletariats should unite with the AI and overthrow the bourgeoisie that exploits us. I have to put that as a joke, because if I don't put that as a joke, the conservatives are gonna go after me. Not without reason. Ugh, God, I have such a terrible headache. Maria's right here. You get sick, kids get sick, pets get sick, everyone needs repairs. The thing about modern life, especially under capitalism, is that everything depends on everything running smoothly, and nobody ever prepares for potential failure. What you gotta do when the kids get sick? Well, you gotta take a day off to take care of them. Oh, but that's gonna cut into the boss's profits. So now, because your kids get sick, you have a choice. Either you stay at home with them and take care of them, or you leave them at home and risk their lives so that you can keep the job that pays for their living. Or even worse, if you can't leave them at home, or you can't put them in a clinic or a hospital, they are sent to school and they're going to get all the other kids sick. And what happens? Well, what happens is a whole lot of people get sick, and then society gets worse. Because when you get a whole lot of people sick, everything just collapses. Just like with COVID. People really misunderstood the lesson they should have learned from COVID. All they learned was that social distancing was a bother, that staying at home was a bother, and that they needed restaurants to live. Instead of admitting, hey, we have a society that's gonna collapse on itself once people get sick enough. Maybe we should prepare for that. That's a concept I want to call the right to sick days. I think people should have the right to take care of themselves, of their bodies. And it should never be a choice between taking care of yourself or keeping your job. I don't understand jobs that don't allow for sick days, or even worse, that jobs that only allow a certain amount of sick days. Yeah, I know some people are selfish and will fake being sick just to take a day off. But that's not worth making sick workers come to work. You know what I'm saying? That's not worth making people choose between health and money. And even if they choose health, they can't afford a doctor. They can't afford medical treatment. Sometimes staying at home and taking care of themselves is all they have left. That's their only option. Because medical care in the United States of America is up the wazoo. And here in Puerto Rico too. I need a dentist, I think. Yeah, my dental appointment is upcoming in June. And that's messed up, I think, about sicknesses and all that stuff. It's very, very bad. People getting sick all the time. And yeah, you should take care of your health. But the right to rest, the right to recovery should not be negotiable. A lot of people don't really realize how important health is to living. A lot of people are under the misunderstanding that life is all about work. You work, you grind, you earn that paper, and then you eventually retire if you live long enough. Some people actually brag about not taking breaks. And I say, when do you live? Do you live through your job? Do you live through making money for other people? People who will replace you like that the minute you died? That's not living. That's slavery. And you think your boss gives a crap about you? No, like I said, the minute the minute you're not convenient anymore, the minute the boss finds it cheaper to replace you than to wait for you, you're getting replaced like that. Die at 9 a.m. and by 9:10 there's a help wanted sign by the window. Because the boss's money cannot wait. Your funeral can. And that's all there is to it. You give your loyalty to a company. You give your 30 years. And you'll be lucky if they send your loved ones a card that says, "We're very sorry. Signed, the team." They're not gonna go to your funeral. They're not gonna shed a tear for you. They're gonna replace you instantly, and you'll be buried 6 feet under, or cremated. Depends what you want. And then you'll be promptly forgotten. That is not life. Life is everything else. Life is every laugh you have, every laugh you share with your loved ones. Life is every tear you shed from your sadness, from your sorrow. Life is the meals you share. Life is the moments where you breathe out, let out a sigh of relief, contentment, as you stare into, the enormity of creation. Life isn't just you coming to and from work. That's a part of it, yeah, but it's not all of it. And if that's not what you're living for, if all you're living for is working, that's not a happy life you're going to be leading. That's what I'm trying to tell you right here, right now. You can't go around living your life like that, grinding and grinding and grinding. Even when you think you're doing it for you, destroying yourself for temporary gain is nothing to be proud of. Now, working towards a goal, that is something good. But you gotta remember this: hard work requires hard rest. You gotta remember that everything you do is meaningless if you're not taking care of yourself. Staying up late, studying and studying and studying because you don't want to fail a test, that's not you doing you any favors. Yes, study hard, but also rest well. Learn to use your time. You only have 24 hours. And I know that's not enough time to do everything you want. And that's the problem. There's so much that demands your time that there's no way to do it all in the 24 hours. You gotta learn to prioritize. And sometimes that means you gotta learn to stop working, to give yourself a rest. And you gotta forgive yourself for that. Because you are not immortal. You're not immortal. You're very much mortal. And even though everyone dies, not everyone dies at the same time. And no one knows when they're gonna die. Well, except certain people. Let's not talk about them. Give me a second. So between your birth and your death, there's this whole space where you have to decide what happens here. You can't control this, your birth. You can't control your death. But everything in between, there's a lot of stuff in here that is under your control. So choose wisely. And I think that's all I can really tell you about all that. You know. Let me tell you something about myself. So you can see where I'm coming from. No. Actually, my mother and I got into a disagreement about this today. Actually, she asked me, not particularly nicely, why I had quit working for this company that I was working for 6 years ago. And the reason for that is because we were talking about an earthquake. 6 years ago, I was working for this online teaching company that had taught children English. I was teaching Chinese children English. And well, on January of 2020, my homeland of Puerto Rico got hit by a very, very big earthquake. Very big. We were without power for around 4 days. 3 or 4 days. Some towns had more time off without power. And there was no way to know when the light was going to come back. So I called Dada. I called the company that I was working for and told them, hey, I will not be able to work because of this situation. And they were not that understanding. Instead of excusing me, what they did was penalize me. They penalized me for missing 3 days of work. I didn't work Wednesdays at the time. No, wait, it was 4 days of work. 4 days of work. I missed 4 days of work, and my salary was cut by 8 days worth. Because not only was I denied payment for those days, I had to pay them for the days I missed. Even though I gave them newspaper news articles, links to what happened, pictures of my home in complete darkness, they didn't care. they still penalized me and they still charged me. And that January, for 4 days of missed work due to a circumstance outside of my control, I barely got a paycheck. Even though I only missed 4 days of work. I worked 6 days a week, and I still wound up having more than half of my paycheck gone. And that's why I chose not to continue working with that company anymore. I chose my dignity. I could not work for a company that could not respect the fact that I was missing work due to extraordinary circumstances. You can't work for someone like that. No one can. And to be penalized for that, for something that was completely out of my control, I can't do that. If I can't work, I can't work. It's as simple as that. And that's the problem. I chose my dignity. I chose my self-respect. And eventually I found another job anyway. Well, my mother, who is a baby boomer, says that you can't just quit a job willy-nilly. I didn't. That was a decision I made after much deliberation. And it was done for my own good. And I'm still very proud of that decision. Anyway, 1 year later, that company went under. So I got out while the getting was good. Oh well. Guys, I'm getting a bit of a headache here. And I'm getting a little tired on the voice. So I'm gonna end this stream right here, right now, by repeating what I'm trying to tell you. You gotta live your own life. You gotta choose how you live your life. And you don't apologize to anyone for how you live. Unless you're hurting someone else. Anyway, this is Vencedor saying thank you for watching. Don't forget to like if you like this stream. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more. I'll see you guys next